Analysing the elderly and the young physiologically. Firstly, we'll be analysing the typical differences between the skeletal systems of the elderly and the young. To begin with, what is the skeletal system? The skeletal system refers to the skeleton which makes up the mainframe of our entire bodies. It is extremely important as it provides structure and security to the body and organs. For example, the rib cage surrounds many of the vital organs such as the heart, protecting them from damage. Our skeletal systems go through multiple stages throughout our lives. When we are first born, our skeletal systems are primarily comprised of softer, more flexible cartilage. This aids during birth as the softer, flexible skeletal system enables the babies to curl up within the womb and be birthed easier, as due to their skeletal systems being more malleable. Over the first 6 months of the baby's life, their skeletal systems will go through the process of ossification. This refers to the process of the bones fusing together and hardening. This occurs due to the cells known as osteoblasts, laying down new harder bone tissue, which over time will form into compact bone tissue, which provides structure and strength to the body. However, during childhood, the skeletal system remains softer than during adulthood. This is beneficial as it means the bones of children are less likely to snap but bend. This is known as a green stick fracture, as they are not as hard as brittle like the bones of older people. As when people go into adulthood, their bones fully harden, creating a higher risk of breakages. In response to exercise, this is beneficial to children as it enables them to be placed under greater amounts of stress or pressure before their bones break. This is useful in contact sports such as rugby, where the players' skeletal systems are placed constantly under extreme pressure from external forces that they come into contact, such as a tackle, which could be an explanation for why according to independent.ie, on average, professional rugby players peak in their 20s, and normally after a 10-year international lifespan, then are suddenly retired by their mid-30s. In comparison, the age of an elite, according to Ricky Potts, is 35 years old. A possible explanation for this could be in response to golf not being a contact sport. Therefore, the reduced strength of the skeletal system, which occurs with old age, does not matter as much as it would in a contact sport such as rugby. Following the hardening of the skeletal system during adulthood, the density of the skeletal system will begin to diminish, typically beginning around 30. According to people lose bone density, bone mass or density as they age. The bones lose calcium and other minerals, creating an even greater risk of breakages to the bones, which will further negatively impact contact sport players, as calcium is central to maintain bone repair, strength and density. However, this process is highly dependent on lifestyle. Bone density reduction can be slowed significantly by remaining active in later years and eating a balanced diet. However, as the process can be slowed by living a healthy lifestyle, it can also be sped up by living an unhealthy, sedentary lifestyle. However, reduced bone density is inevitable in old age, but how quickly it happens is up to the person's lifestyle. Furthermore, reductions to bone density place people at a greater risk of osteoporosis, which according to the NHS website is a health condition that weakens bones and makes them fragile, making them more likely to break. It develops slowly over several years, which will make the risks of bone breakages even greater if developed. In addition, it is important to note that the impact of menopause on bone density among women. This is because as women go through menopause during later life, they will experience a reduction in the female hormone estrogen, which aids women which aids women to maintain bone structure and strength, creating a greater risk of women to get osteoporosis post-menopause. According to Endocrine website, reduced estrogen levels is linked with reduced bone density, as estrogen is a sex hormone that is essential for female bone health because it promotes the activity of osteoblasts, which are cells that produce bone. When estrogen levels drop during menopause, the osteoblasts aren't able to efficiently produce bone, which, as stated earlier, would have a negative implication in response to sporting performance, as the subject will be at a greater risk of injuries such as breakages and fractures to the bones, which would be particularly negative in contact sports such as rugby, where due to the extreme amount of external force placed on the skeletal system. Another issue in response to the skeletal system that can arise in older years is spinal cord reduction, which occurs as the vertebra and discs of the spinal cord become hard and brittle with age, leaving the vertebra open to overgrow, leaving the spinal cord to lose its stability to cushion and absorb impact, significantly increasing the risk of injury to the spine, especially in violent contact sports such as rugby, where large amounts of force are quickly exerted upon the body, as the body can injuries can occur as the body will no longer be able to successfully absorb the impact the subject is being exposed to. This is particularly dangerous around the spine, as it is such a vital aspect of the body, as any damage to the spine can result in irreparable nerve damage and even paralysis, highlighting the negative impacts of age upon the skeletal system.